Hey, gun people. Let's look at some honest, good liberal left news reporting and see if when Trump's calling out the media saying all they do is fake news, let's see who you agree with here. First, we'll look at what the news media told everybody and made their fake news report, and then we'll look at what really happened.
Video out of Aurora. Good evening, everybody. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Ann Trujillo. Ajane Williams says police lied about the way they handled her arrest. Denver 7's Jacqueline Allen is digging into this civil rights lawsuit.
Yeah, her attorney says the cops lied about the arrest. Okay.
Tonight.
The video is tough to watch as she's tackled to the ground. Ajane Williams says she was the one charged with assault of a police officer after this arrest. Those charges were later dropped. We got this video from her attorney tonight. It happened 3 days before Christmas in 2015. According to the lawsuit, she took her boyfriend to the hospital after a shooting. Police searched her car for evidence. Then they said they were going to tow it, asked for her keys, and she said no. The lawsuit says she dropped her keys in.
Okay. So there's some key points here to have some background on what the cops were thinking, because the news media is saying all she did was take her boyfriend to the hospital. She gets beat up and arrested. That could be no further from the truth. When somebody shows up at the hospital with a gunshot wounds, the nurses in the hospital, I know we've had problems with nurses here lately, but the nurses in hospitals are supposed to notify law enforcement because they work together, and they want the government to come in, and the government will come in, the police, and investigate. How was he shot? Was it an accidental shooting? Where was he shot? Is it a crime scene? Was it a murder gone bad? Was it a robbery gone bad? So all police shootings, and I think in some, so I don't know if it's law everywhere, but in some places, especially high crime, high gang, violent areas, stabbings are also reported. So this lady brings her husband in a gunshot, and they call the police. So the police come, and they search her car, and they find evidence of the shooting in a car, which probably means, which the media, being unethical and not telling the truth, never investigated, never found out why they think it's evidence, etc. So, or the cops said, we ain't telling you, but I'm telling you from a cop perspective, we don't want to tow a car and take a bunch of evidence and create a bunch of paperwork unless there's a case there. So the officers probably found blood, or they found empty casings in the car, gunshot residue, etc. So they want all this evidence collected, pictures, etc. in a police warehouse where you can do it under right lighting conditions and preserve the evidence. So they're going to tow the car because it was involved in criminal activity, and it's evidence of that criminal activity. So perfectly reasonable for what the cops are doing. Now, of course, little Miss Victim had an attitude. Got upset, didn't like it, and started fighting with the cops. But you won't see that in this news report. You'll see it right after the news report because I'll show you, but you ain't going to see it in this news report because the tape is cut. Watch what happens and notice the cutting of the tape that the lawyer, the sleazeball, who released this to the media because he knew the media would push the left-wing agenda of all cops just beat up black people for no reason when it just isn't true.
In front of an officer, prompting that.
Notice that cut? Did you see that? It went from a drop to having 3 officers around her. If you notice before, if you go back on the video, the officer walks out the car with her. She's not in cuffs. They're talking. She stands by the rear car, and he's asking her for her keys. She throws them on the ground, and then they get into this hassle for no reason. They just jump on her because she dropped her keys. That's what they want you to believe. That's why I tell people when you see media, and I have people coming on that damn nurse channel, oh, well, the media said that the cop was wrong and Nurse Alex was absolutely right. Yeah, okay. Well, this is pretty much the same case here. The media is saying this woman did nothing wrong and the cops jumped on her for no reason.
Officer to then tackle her. She only suffered minor injuries but spent Christmas behind bars, and now her lawyer says the officers had no authority to take her keys. Now,
well, that's a shocker. The lawyer is saying, see, when somebody says somebody filed a case against the police, what that really means is some lawyer thinks there's enough of crap on the wall that he could probably get an agency to settle. And what people don't understand is when lawyers settle civil cases, most of the time they get their lawyer fees paid. So as a lawyer, if I see this case and I think I can get this person a $1,000, a $2,000, or a $5,000 settlement because the city don't want to go to court, I can sue the city, get them to pay $5,000 settlement to her, and pay my lawyer fees. Now my lawyer fees may end up being 20 grand. But what do I care? The taxpayers are going to pay for it, and they're just going to release that the city paid this woman a $5,000 settlement. They won't publicize that the city also paid the sleazy attorney's lawyer's fees. So let's jump to another area here. Okay, so let's look at the hospital footage video that wasn't cut and pasted and promoted as truth by the media and the attorney, and see what happens. Female's walking out, officer's nice, no problems. She's got her hands folded. He's not beating her up. I wonder what made him decide just to beat her up for no reason. Well, Rick, it must be because she's black and he's white. Oh, yeah, that's right, because that's what the media tells us. So there's talking. They're discussing. She's probably saying, I don't have to give you the keys. You ain't towing my damn car. Blah, 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 blah. You guys are harassing me. This is because I'm black. It's just because my car was used in a shooting and I've got shells and guns and blood in the car. You guys want to take my car because I'm black? On and on and on and on. And she drops her keys. Now, if you remember when the news media, the fake media, was releasing this story to the sheep public, you notice that it immediately looked like they just jumped on her right after this act. Man, unethical lying, video editing. So now we have a pullback, we have a no, we have get off me, we have stop pulling on me, we have you can't touch me, screw you, we have probably kicking, we have swinging, we have assaults on the officer, we pull her out of the car. Of course, none of this was on the news media report that most of the people run around saying, well, the news media said the nurse is right and the cop's wrong. Yeah, okay. We have punching, we have pulling away, we have resisting. But Rick, when the nurse resisted, it was okay because she knew the law and she was right. Because that's what we tell people. Resisting is okay if you know the law and you're right. So you can run from the cops, and then when they put you in handcuffs, you can scream and cry, help me, I'm being assaulted. We have fighting, we have pushing, we have hitting, we have resisting. Wow, I don't understand this, Rick. The news media left all this out. It must have been an oversight. They must have not known this happened because of their great journalistic investigative skills. Absolutely outrageous. And of course the media showed this violent takedown, and this is where the tape cut in on the news media and the lawyer saying the cops for no reason attacked this poor black woman. Meanwhile, everyone else that has no clue across the land and across the pond and everywhere else is saying, wow, man, cops really do just beat up black people for no reason. Man, you talk about the hatred of cops and the liberal left to destroy this country and to push their liberal agenda of racism, homophobe. We need 14 bathrooms for people who think they want to be born a human and they really were born a dog and they want to be a dog and they're having dog transfer surgery, so therefore we need extra bathrooms for them so they feel safe. I mean, the ignorance of the left, the unethical and hypocrisy of the left is just outrageous. And yet people are running around blaming the cops for everything. And I'm not saying the cops don't deserve some of the blame. Government's out of control. We have too many cops. We have too much government, and they do a lot of things wrong. All I'm saying is let's address the real problem, and let's just not make it a black and white cop thing, because that's all the media can do. It's unethical, it's lying, it's confusing, and it unfortunately the masses of sheep buy it and believe it. All right, we'll end that there.